Hello Internet, I'm the Disney Brain and welcome back to the Boy Meets World review. The last time we talked about this show, I discussed why Season 3 was exceptionally constructed, especially with regards to the character development of one Eric Matthews. This time around, we're jumping into Season 4, which begins with the Matthews boys returning from their summer road trip, and once they return to their suburban lifestyles, all manner of complications start arising for them and the rest of the main cast. But just how good was Season 4 really? Well, let's find out. With all that said, let's dive back into Boy Meets World and review Season 4. One of the major points about this particular season is how it seamlessly transitions from the previous one. In seasons past, there had been more obvious separation, both in terms of their displacement in time and their overall goals as far as character development and major overarching themes go. But in both subtle and overt ways, Season 4 and Season 3 are uniquely connected, arguably more so than any other pair of seasons. The main reason behind my thinking that is due to how certain points of both plot and character growth are given proper weight in Season 3 and then expanded upon in Season 4, namely with Eric. And since we ended with him last time around, we'll start with him here. In Season 3, Eric went through his most significant change and played the lead in some of the best episodes of the series, and to make matters more complicated, he ended up getting rejected by every college he applied to. So, Season 4 expands on that idea by asking the simple question, what now? Without that clear life path that college might have provided for him, where does he go from here? This starts with You Can Go Home Again, a great season premiere that starts Eric on the path of self-discovery as he tries to answer the aforementioned questions. This leads to Eric mostly hanging around as a background character, save for a few important focus episodes. In the episode Uncle Daddy, Eric starts dating a woman that has a child, a responsibility that he wants to embrace but is relieved of when said woman breaks things off. This was a very important moment of growth for Eric, not just because it represented a very good first look at the real world outside of the safety of his home, but because it also foreshadows the even more important Tommy saga in Season 6. So, through failed relationships, part-time jobs, and the understandable feelings of wondering where any of this will lead, both Eric and Corey find themselves faced with taking the easy street or the more difficult but worth it road. For Eric, this means rejecting the easy path he's taken for most of his life and eventually getting accepted to the fictional Pembroke. And with that, the character of Eric completes a major turning point in his life, where the real world is coming. Things aren't as easy as they used to be, and he has to push himself past where he assumed his limits were in order to make it. The best part about his development through Seasons 3 and 4 is how through it all, through the best times and the worst, through the victories and many defeats, Eric is still Eric. He never loses track of his knack for comedy or trademark charisma unless the situation necessitates a more emotional or serious tone. And in those powerful scenes and powerful moments, you can feel everything he's going through, making his path towards eventually becoming a college student that much more satisfying. And as most of us know, he does pretty good for himself afterwards as well. Whew, alright, that was a ton of Eric. So, what else happened this season? Two major plot points involving Sean and Corey respectively. For Sean, Chet officially returned home at the end of Season 3, and a couple of really great episodes, including Fishing for Verna and Janitor Dad, helped develop the pair as father and son. But the reason I think Janitor Dad stands out is because of how it grows Chet as a character. He no longer wants to be the dad who's just around like he was before he left in Season 2. He genuinely wants to be a better person, which takes the form of wanting to be more involved in his son's life and taking on more stable occupational responsibilities. The increased emphasis on the Hunters as a real family in this season plays the important role of giving Sean some much needed stability as well, which ties in nicely to Season 5 and beyond because that stability also allows him to finally feel ready for a real relationship. The biggest turning point for Sean in the season is probably Cult Fiction, where a cult leader tries to convince him that his place is with him and the other misguided children that live with him. This is paired with Mr. Turner getting into a bike accident, which is a major shakeup to the newfound stability that Sean had been enjoying all season. But even with that stability, Sean has yet to find a true direction for his future, which is why episodes like this and Easy Street were important. This would also mark the last appearance of Mr. Turner on the show, and it's interesting how his final mark would be paralleled to an extent by a major Season 6 event, but that's a topic for a future review. And of course, no Boy Meets World season would feel complete without the myriad of ways Corey and Topanga develop as a couple. As we know, they were broken up for a time before they got back together in Season 3. Season 4 is kind of a rare instance where both are going steady throughout the entire season, and don't face a potentially relationship-ending confrontation until next season when the cast heads up to the old ski lodge. What I like about that choice in this season is how it allows for the pair to discuss advancing their relationship, since the only thing tearing them apart is Pittsburgh about midway through. And by advancing, yes, I do mean that Corey implies, and sometimes not very subtly, that he and Topanga should be sexually active. Obviously not something Topanga is very gung-ho about, but I appreciate their ability to discuss the matter in a somewhat mature way, or at least as mature as you'd expect from a cast that's still in high school at the end of the day. And while Corey is at times frustrated with Topanga's attitude towards sex, he never goes so far as to force anything or make Topanga uncomfortable with it, which makes sense for Corey's character, but is also just a beautiful perspective for literally all of humanity to adopt. Even if you've been together for seemingly forever, no means no, and it disgusts me that far too many individuals can't seem to get that damn idea through their skulls. So an added kudos to this already amazing show for keeping things classy on that end. I loved and at the same time didn't especially like A Long Walk to Pittsburgh. I liked what it had to say about love and the strength thereof, and I even liked the volatility of it all, because in a situation this emotional, rationality becomes more scarce. What I didn't like as much is how everything resolved pretty easily. It's a two-parter where Topanga leaves and then comes back because her aunt just so happens to live in the area and agree with the living arrangement. I felt that maybe we could have had something even more impactful if Topanga and Corey had to really do the long distance thing for a bit longer before realizing the truth behind all the stuff Amy was talking about. And then, once things got exceptionally hard a couple of episodes later, then have Topanga run away and resolve the situation using her aunt. The two-parter was a moving and emotionally investing arc, where so many characters with so many perspectives had so much insight to give, and all of that works very well here, but I just had some issues with the mechanics behind it all. The other interesting thing about Season 4, beyond strictly the character development side of things, is how much of it focused more on ideas than it did on emphasizing the general themes of the season itself. Episodes such as Chick Like Me and Turkey Day were great ones that allowed the cast to work with the larger idea of learning more deeply about and understanding different perspectives. Previous seasons have done this to great effect before, especially in Season 1, but I think Season 4 is maybe the best example of taking important ideas and allowing them to play out in a single episode. There are singular episodes that are better in later seasons, but as a collective of single-minded episodes, I would argue that Season 4 stands above the others as far as the overall quality of that specific category goes. The 5 episodes I would consider the best from Season 4 in order from 5 to 1 are A Long Walk to Pittsburgh Part 1, Chick Like Me, Uncle Daddy, You Can Go Home Again, and Cult Fiction, with 2 honorable mentions given to Janitor Dad for advancing the long-estranged Chet Hunter as a character and Learning to Fly, for perfectly capping off the season in a way that directly connects with what Eric was struggling with at the very beginning of the season. Picking out a top 5 for this season was the hardest yet, because there's just so many great ones to choose from that either have something important to say or build the season's narrative through the characters. All in all, both Season 3 and 4 are bound together in such interesting ways, and a lot of that has to do with Eric Matthews. His college years would do less in the way of developing him, but the things both of these seasons accomplish with his character are remarkable. This 2-season-long journey of self-discovery, all brilliantly set into motion by a singular but exceptionally important Season 2 episode, have taken him to all manner of places, both physically and mentally. But, in the end, through the Feeney Call, his family, and a couple of supporting characters, he finds his way. Boy Meets World is a coming-of-age story, and while that places a lot of focus on Sean, Corey, and Topanga growing up, Season 4 works with what Season 3 started to also offer a brilliant coming-of-age story for Eric as well before he settles into college. But he's definitely not alone in carrying the season, because the way that it successfully continues on from Season 3 also applies to Sean and the several choice episodes that revolve around him and his family coming back together piece by piece. Also, in terms of writing, concepts, execution of ideas, and the way character relationships are developed and advanced, Season 4 is spectacular. Most of the more novel episodes deliver, and the more familiar topics are expertly developed from major points of previous seasons. For me, it's not as memorable as Season 3, but it's arguably just as good. Season 5 will bring with it major characters such as Jack Hunter and Angela Moore, along with a few others. And when the Boy Meets World season reviews return, we'll take a closer look at how good it really was. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this review, throw it on a like, sub for more, and share it all over the interwebs. And don't forget to follow the Disney Brain on Facebook and Twitter for updates. Links down below. You voted, so you're getting it. The Wizards movie will be the next DCOM review, followed by reviewing the classic Halloweentown franchise closer to Halloween Day. And since the voting thing worked so well the first time, we're doing it all over again, because after that, we'll be jumping back into the slime as we review your choice of either Swindle or Rags. So, head over to Twitter and vote between the two. Until then...
every mile there'd be another sign. It would say 100 miles to the world's best chili, 99 miles, 98 miles. So by the time I finally got there, I just had to have some of this chili. You see?
It's pie.